Welcome and hello, YouTube and Facebook land. How you doing? This is Tony from Six String Corner. I figured I'd do another intro. I gotta find a theme song. I don't know if this is a theme song. I just may never use that one, but hey, it's better than nothing. So how y'all doing? It's been a couple weeks. Did you miss me? Probably not. Probably didn't even know I wasn't even doing this, but or maybe you did. I don't know. So it is summertime. I know for myself, we were doing a lot of traveling around in our RV, so we're always all over the place. But I am still here. I'm still teaching. I have online lessons. Got in the link below there on YouTube and on my Facebook page there. You'll see online lessons and got a nice little sweet special. So if you're looking for some lessons, be sure to take advantage of that. That would be really, really super awesome. I do have a few spots open as well. Also, a note, next week, I want to let you know that I'm not going to be here. Now, of course, those of you who are watching this on the broadcast later, if you're watching this before July 22nd, 2020, that next week at 6 o'clock, yes, Central Standard Time, next week at Central Standard Time, if you go on our animation, which is Animation Tribute to Rush, is my band page, and I'm going to have, I'll put a link down here in YouTube and on Facebook after I'm done, to let you know at 6 o'clock online, we are doing an online concert for 1 hour for the American Brain Tumor Association. So we're going to raise some funds for them and hopefully do make it now. Hopefully be pretty successful. Those of you who don't know or maybe aren't familiar with Rush, in January, the drummer from Rush, Neil Peart, passed away from a brain tumor. Apparently he'd had it for some time. He was very private. A lot of us in the public didn't know about it. So anyway, the American Brain Tumor Association reached out to us, at least the one here in Chicago area, reached out to us to do a show. So we're going to be doing one next Wednesday at 6. So I won't obviously be doing a lesson here, but we will be live. So I'll be sure to have some links. And if you're on my email list, Be sure to I'll let you know about that as well. And if you're on animations list, I'll send, so all that information is going to go out, and there will be a place to donate. If you can't make the 6 o'clock time frame, there will be a link in that description when it's posted, and it will be posted soon. That will have you can make a donation there if you want to ahead of time. But we're going to do a 1 hour show. We're going to do mostly the hits. It's called Vital Signs. So, naturally, that song Vital Signs that Rush did wasn't the most popular one, but we are going to do that song. And a lot of the hits. So if you're just moderately familiar with Rush, it will be on there. Now, if you're watching this after July 22nd, 2020, it will be on YouTube. It's going to stay there. So it's what I like about YouTube. It stays there. So that concert will be on our animation YouTube page. Again, I'm going to have the link. I'll put it in here once I get it. I haven't got the link just yet, but I will get the link. It will be on here. So if you're watching afterwards, you will see the link down there, and it'll say go to here, and you can see the show. You can always donate and help out the American Brain Tumor Association as they're trying to find research to, as in all cancer, kind of crazy cancers, it will be there to get rid of that. So anyway, I want to just give you that public service announcement there. Next week, I think is a really important cause that we're all going to be doing. And you get to hear some Rush music for free. You get to hear a band play for an hour. If you haven't been able to catch our shows, we haven't practiced since February, but everybody's really super talented. I think we'll be fine. We'll have one practice and we'll be fine. We'll get through it. From 6 to 7 o'clock next week. All right, so be sure to catch that. Also on the, like I said, I have online lessons below. That will be great. Also, it's on this link, and you will see it on that. I have 20 essential guitar licks. Now, you may or may not have gotten it. If you haven't, be sure to get it. Because for the next several lessons, it's going to be hit and miss on Wednesdays because of gigs and me RV and all that kind of schedules. But we're going to try and get as many as I can in the summer, some of these classic rock riffs that I think would be pretty cool to learn. And as in all things in the way I teach, I like to teach by song. So, learning a song, even if it's a simple one or two of these licks that I'm going to show you, will, definitely enhance your experience in playing. So what I'm going to get into today are two songs from two artists that probably are more, you would think they're more different. Although, I think about how the Beatles were in the 60s, and it probably wasn't too much different, and the unusualness. And that I'm going to show you the lick that the Beatles did. Personally, I wasn't a huge follower of the Beatles. I didn't learn every Beatles song. I don't know all the words, but Day Tripper, which is going to cover today, has always been a favorite of mine. I've always loved that intro lick. That was just the coolest lick to play. I don't remember, you Beatles guys will know who played that. I don't know if it was George or John. I think it was George, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I'm wrong. But Day Tripper it's a great lick to learn. I have done this on an earlier video on YouTube, but I'm going to give you a little more depth in here and also give you an opportunity to ask a question if there's anything you need to know about it. It's pretty straightforward. And then the other one we're going to do is probably tiny bit more difficult, but not by much if you really know what you're doing, is Crazy Train by Ozzie. Yes, Ozzie as one of the Beatles. Boy, what a great mix that is, right? Well, they were all unusual in their time, right? The Beatles became unusual in their time. Actually, they were always... At that time, they were kind of unusual. They were different, and Ozzie, of course, is Ozzie. But Ozzie had some great guitar players. He had Randy Rhoads played on that first two albums, and of course, he played on Crazy Train. And Randy was a huge influence on me at that time. When I first heard him on the radio, I first heard Crazy Train. I'm like, who is this guy? It just blew the socks off. I was just amazed at how just awesome that guitar playing was. I had to know who this guy was. And so, of course, I bought every album that he was on, which was only the first two. But it was awesome. It was a lot of fun to listen to it, and I learned a lot of the licks, many of which I've forgotten. But Crazy Train, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool lick. Now, I should say, I also got a YouTube video on this, and this is great about guitar playing. We can learn things the wrong way, and I showed it the wrong way. I've since corrected it, and I'm going to show you the right way here. It's just one note, but it does matter, and we're going to get into that as well. So I'm going to cover the two songs, give you just a kind of a close-up here. So this is just a fun one. We're just going to learn how to play these licks, And if you got any questions, just be sure to leave it in the comments or the description and just get back to me as we're going through this lesson. And if you're watching this afterwards, be sure just to leave a comment there. I do check my comments on my YouTube page. So if you're watching this afterwards, first of all, thanks for showing up, and just ask me anything about the song. I think it's pretty straightforward. In the 20 Essential Licks PDF that's down below on my YouTube and Facebook page for Sixth String Corner, that 20 Essential Licks has both of these tabs in it. So the tabs are in there as well as a bunch of others. I am definitely going to cover a couple more of those over the next handful of live lessons. So we're going to start off with this one right here, okay? So let's start off with the Beatles, since they were first anyway. They came before Ozzie. So we're going to do Day Tripper. This one basically follows, E and A. It's over the E and the A chord. I think it's E7 and A7, although the riff doesn't play those chords. So I'm going to give you a close-up. So I have my webcam, and I'm going to move the webcam. So you're going to see a little less of me, and you're going to see a lot more of the guitar here on this part of it. So I'm going to show the left hand, and then I'll show you the right hand, and then I'm going to show you both together. Okay, so that's kind of the best way I can do it online, and hopefully that'll help you out. All right, so let's go with the left hand because we're going to show you how all the fancy work goes here. So let me get my camera switched. I'm learning how to do this here. There we go. All right, so Facebook and YouTube, we are switched, and on my stage channel here. Okay, I can't switch it on my personal page. So if you're watching on the personal page, I do apologize, but I will talk through it anyway. All right, if you want to catch more, go to Sixth String Corner Facebook or Sixth String Corner YouTube, and it will give you a close-up. Okay, all right, so here we go. So what this lick starts on an open E, and it goes like so. There we go. Okay, take two. All right, so this is a trip up. So what we start with the open E. So there's two ways that I don't exactly know how you play it. I actually do a slide here, or it could be. I think that might be more what it sounds like. I should have probably done research on this, but it doesn't really matter. All right, we're gonna learn how to do hammer-ons here. So you're gonna form your left hand finger here. This is a E power chord. Okay, we're going to press down on these two strings, okay, and you're going to pretty much leave it there for this whole part of the riff, okay? It's going to kind of stay there. It's good to just have that anchored because you're going to come back to those notes as you play, all right? So we do a, all right, so now what I'm doing with the right hand, I'll just bring my hand over so you can see what I'm picking, all right? So I'm hitting the open E, and then we're on the 3rd fret and on the 4th fret on the low E string is what we're going to do. So, all right, we pick that 3rd fret, and then I hammer on my ring finger on that 4th fret from the 3rd fret. All right, and then we hit this note right here, which is the 2nd fret on that A string. And then the D note. This is why I told you to keep that finger there, because we're going to hit those two notes. All right, so that's how that goes. All right, and then the next note is with the little finger right there on the 5th fret. Okay, so. And then we come back to this note here, this B note, that 2nd fret there on the A string. I'll show you the hand. All right, and then the next note right there is on the D string, 4th fret. And then we close it out. We go back to this B note here. And then the little finger. And then we close it with this second fret on the D string. Maybe I should pick that too. Either way, the fingers move the same way. I'm just thinking now, maybe. No, I think he hammers that. I think it's more of a hammer down there. And I actually like to slide. I don't know. 3 different ways you can play it. But let's learn it this way here because it gives you a hammer on. All right, so you just repeat that and then go back. All right, so got a good reason. So there's the singing goes on, and then you switch. You play that exact same riff, but then you're going to move everything down one set of strings. And you're going to play this in A. So you have to do this a few times, several times, and you'll hear it with the sing. And then we go to A. So we move our finger from the E power chord, those two. Now we're going to put the E on the middle 2 strings, right? Middle 2 strings, and we're forming this A power chord. All right, and like we did with the E, you want to keep that finger there because as you saw in the first run through with that riff, you're going to come back to these notes really quick. So if you can keep that finger there, it makes this a lot easier to play. So then your fingers follow the exact same motion you did on the E. All right, you keep going. So you see we're following the exact same motions with the fingers. So if this is new to you, you want to work on the E first. Try and get the finger, you're basically going to establish some finger memory. And then you just take that exact motion, move up one set of strings, start with the A string. All right, and then back to the, and then you're going to come back down to that E. All right, so that is a classic rock riff by the Beatles, and again they've got so many, so many. But this is one that I consider one of my favorite. This actually is my favorite, so I figured I'd do this one as my favorite. After that, there's just the chords. I don't actually. A tripper, one-way ticket, yeah. Took me some. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. We're not about the chords. We're going to show the riff. So that's the riff to Day Tripper. Okay. Again, 20 essential licks. That PDF down there. If you don't have it yet, get it because it's in there, and you can grab the tab for that lick. And that's a really, really super, super fun one to play. I just like it. Whenever I pick up the guitar, people, I think even young'uns would probably instantly know this one, right? They at least know it's familiar. Okay, really quick note on the right hand before we switch over to the next song. Just really super quick. Make sure that when you're picking, I know I was putting my hand out there so you can see it, but reality, what you're doing is you're resting the heel of your hand on the top corner of the bridge. Behind, these are the saddles. Now your bridge, of course, would look different, but all of our electric guitars have a saddle here, and actually our acoustic too. So even if you're playing this acoustic, you can totally do this on acoustic. Totally do an acoustic. Just know where your bridge is and where your saddles are. That's where the string comes over and then goes out, out this way. So that's the saddle right here. So you're going to have it on this side of the saddle, this way. So you're a little bit off the strings. Keep the heel of your hand up here. You're going to want to keep the hand on the bridge, as opposed to having it out here. You have a lot more control when it's on the bridge. So if you watch this here, let me see if I can try to get an angle in here. I thought it was there. There we go. Okay, so focus more on the right hand because we already did the left hand, but you can kind of see the left hand go here. But when I'm playing this, everything's down pick too. So everything's down picked. Just remember that is it's 2 picks, 3 notes for 2 picks, right? 1, 2, and with the hammer on. But other than that, everything else is picked individually, and you're just going to move your hand up and down, and it's pretty much just down pick though. And same with the next part too. All right, and then go back down. All right, so just keep that hand there. I've talked at length about this type of thing too. If just make sure that your pick, as you're holding your pick. Now I hold it like this with the forefinger like that down the side of the pick. Thumb is across. Wait, there it is. Thumb is across like that. And you want to actually not hit it with the flat of the pick. You want to actually have it twisted like this and sort of tilted a little bit so that this part of the pick is going over the string. So that's how I'm doing it. In fact, the pick is actually sitting like this. You can see it. It's kind of like that, twisted though, kind of like that. And the pick just flows over the strings a lot more smooth. And that's the same thing with picking individual notes. And even when you're out here strumming, or if you're playing a strumming song, you also want to have that pick out like that. It just makes it a lot easier. Everything sounds a lot better. You have a lot more fluid motion. It really, really, really works much, much better to do it that way. Okay, so figured I'd give you that little bit of information. So, yep, sorry. Yeah, name that tune, Steve. Yep, that's the Day Tripper. So anyway, that's Day Tripper. All right, that's your first song. So again, links below. Click the 20 essential links down below. And, again, if you have the inkling to learn about online lessons, you can learn about them. I have a page down there, and it opens up to a description of how things work with it and see if it's for you. All right, I got a nice special deal, so you can go in there and take a look. All right, so now we're going off to the next song, which couldn't be any more different than what we just did, right? But again, this is a classic rock lick that I really, really like. You know what? I'm gonna keep it on the close up here. All right. So you don't need to see my face right now. We want to learn to play this stuff. All right. So this next one, let me give a little bit of distortion just so you can see how it's done. So we did Beatles. Now we're going to talk about Ozzie. All right. Ozzie Osbourne. I already said about Randy Rhoads, one of my favorite players of all time, died way, way too early, way too young. I can't imagine what he would have been like right now. If he was still around, I think that his influence would have been a lot more than what it was. But even for that short time, it really affected a lot of us players who were, influential at that time, in the early 80s, very early 80s. So this riff, and again, we're just going to cover the riff because that's all we got time for here. And that riff goes kind of like this. All right, that's it. Now I was showing it wrong. I'll show you how I was playing it wrong. See if you can hear the difference. So I don't know if you can hear the difference between that and. All right. The difference is one note that I kept coming back to. Right down, bump is this note right here, F sharp. What I was doing wrong before is I kept going to the open A, which is not the way you want to do it. All right. So how do we play this song? All right. So everything I talked about on the right hand, so I'm not going to go over it again, how you have your hand held on that bridge, how the pick angle strikes across those strings, all matters, all still in play, all right? Even though those are two very different songs, the way we pick is exactly this. Well, yes, it's exactly the same because this is all down pick too. There's no up picking in this part of the song, all right? So here's how we do it. And again, if you have the tabs, it's in 20 Essential Licks down below if you already have it. If not, go get it. But anyway, way we work it is we have our pointer finger, which is sitting here, and it's the second fret on the E string, low E string, or the sixth string. That's an F sharp, and I'm going to refer to it as an F sharp rather than saying second fret. But that's an F sharp. All right, so we're going to be using that F sharp a lot in this beginning riff, because that's actually the first note that hits. Okay. Now the other thing too is we want to make sure that our proper finger positioning works. And the easiest way to describe this is that we're in the second position. So everything that is on the second fret, which really is only this note, is covered by the pointer finger. Everything on this fourth fret, whatever notes we're going to play, there's going to be a couple of them. Anything hit on the fourth fret is going to be covered by the ring finger. And the little finger takes everything on the fifth fret. Essentially, that's how we're assigning them. If we had something on the third fret, which we don't in this riff, it would be covered by the middle finger here would play that. Okay, so the proper finger positioning is really important for this. The other thing is I don't know if you pay attention or not, but if you're not, you really should, is what's happening behind the scenes. Wait, what's behind the scenes? Behind the neck. All right. What we do, how we play behind the neck, and how we position our hand is every bit as important as the actual notes and what we're doing. I know I talk about this on my live lessons all the time. If you're a student of mine, you know that I harp on this a lot. What's happening behind the scenes with your thumb and your wrist matters a lot, and how well your notes are going to sound, whether you're playing a chord, whether you're playing a riff. All right, whether you're playing a lead solo or you're doing some string bends, how your hand is positioned here will matter greatly on how well you're able to execute that and how well it will sound. All right, so two things right there. All right, so when I'm playing this riff, all right, that's kind of a bagel. All right, so where I'm holding now is I'm having my thumb, all right, positioned behind roughly the second fret. It's a little bit to this side of the fret. I know you can't see it. There's the fret wire right there, so it's kind of a little bit behind it, right here. Okay, and because of the nature of, especially when I got to get that little finger out, okay, we hold the thumb in place. It's a little bit high. It's a little bit above the midpoint of the neck, and I do have the thumb sort of rolled a little bit, kind of like this here. So I'm using sort of the side of my thumb. I'm not putting the thumb way out here. All right, you don't want to put it all kinds of wacky directions. You want to just roll that thumb a little bit, and it's really for that little finger to get out here because you're going to need it for that. All right, so I just keep the thumb there. So the thumb is kind of staying right there. The wrist is, of course, really bent. We're kind of hanging that wrist low because we want to get our fingers. And we switch to other camera angle. We want to have the fingers come around, okay? And it makes for a lot easier playing. Oops, out of focus. There we go. And we want to be able to play that with our fingers out like this, okay? All right, so now enough of that. We got the right hand figured out. It's the same as with Day Tripper. You see how the left hand is holding the neck. All right, and actually, if we can backtrack, if I can just go back to Day Tripper, how you saw my left hand and how it was looking behind the scenes, it looks almost exactly the same. Wait, there it is. Kind of the same thing, side of that thumb. It's actually in the same place. All right. So how we hold our thumb and how we position our wrist matters a lot because if we don't do this right, it's going to be really hard to execute these notes. It's going to be really hard to play. And we want to make sure that we execute this thing just right. All right. So now let us get to the actual riff. So now on the left hand, if you were watching, maybe you got it, maybe you didn't, but I'm going to take it through step by step. So we're going to hit this, and I'm going to bring my hand out here so you can see what I'm picking. So we're going to hit this twice on the F sharp. All right, and then we're going to hit this fourth note. This is the C sharp, which is the fourth note on the A string. And then we come back to this F sharp. Now what you're going to notice is we're going to come back to this. We're going to be swinging back and forth to this F sharp to these other notes, okay? So it's going to be, let's see, give you a good angle here. All right, so. And then the little thing. All right, so you see how I did that? 1, 2, back. 1, 2. All right, and that starts that riff. And you see we're just coming right back to that F sharp. All right, and then the second half of this riff, we're going to kind of switch our hand position just a tiny bit. So that's right here now. That's a B note there, second fret on the A string. And then these other two are on the lower E string. And then that open E there completes the riff before we start it over again. So let me show you the second half again. It's B, A, that's an A note, A flat, back to A, B, A flat, E. So put those two together. All right, and then just repeat. My hand is pretty much everything. The movement is mostly in the fingers. There's a slight bit with the wrist because of just the nature of getting that, especially getting that little finger over. But so most of that movement is just a slight movement there as I switch the positioning of my hands from here to here. But outside of that, everything else stays pretty static. All right, well, relatively static. Most of the action on the front end is on the fingers. The thumb stays where it is, just using the side of the thumb, which is rolling a little bit, but it doesn't move from that spot. We're not moving our thumb and doing all kinds of crazy, wacky things like that. We're going to kind of keep it right in the back as we move it. All right. And then that's how you would play that riff. And then again, you put your hand on the bridge and you play it away like this. One thing that you will notice too is I'm not going to chord, right? There's no chords in this riff. So you're going to be lifting that F sharp up just a little bit to mute it out when you're playing the next note. Okay, you're only hearing that note. You're not hearing this note. And you're back to that note. So yeah, so you're just kind of going back and forth, rocking it back and forth with those notes. So make sure that's the other thing too when you play that. All right, and eventually you get That's another lesson for the day. Because we're out of time, folks. All right, let me switch over to the other camera. So that, my friends, are two classic rock licks that are really a lot of fun to play by two artists that couldn't be more different or could not be more the same. You be the judge. It's very possible they could be more alike than you want to think. I know Ozzie was weird, but let's face it, the Beatles didn't do a lot of normal things too back in the 60s. So that is so that's the riff. That's the song. So it's a really cool riff to learn, and it's in the classic 20th century classic rock riffs. It does say volume 1. One of these days I'll get volume 2 and maybe volume 3. In fact, you could probably write 10 volumes with all the classic rock riffs that are out there that are memorable. So if you got any suggestions, I do have some already on my list, but let me know what volume 2 should have. What are some great classic rock riffs, kind of like that you would just love to hear? Maybe you'd love to have tabbed out, willing to show. I mean, just let me know. Leave it in the comments, leave it, and just let me know what you think. So if anybody's got any questions, I don't know if you do. If not, then that's really about all we have. Thank you for stopping on by and me giving you a couple of quick lessons here. Don't forget next week, an Animation A Tribute to Rush's Facebook page and Animation Tribute to Rush's YouTube page. And also, if you want to go there, American Brain Tumor Association will also have it on their Facebook page. We're going to simulcast on the concert that we're going to do. We're going to do a short 1-hour show. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, but it is for a good cause, for donating to the American Brain Tumor Association. That's what Neil Peart had died from. And I know that the guys in Rush wanted those of us who were fans to do some things like this as time goes by in order to honor his memory. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to be doing something for this brain tumor research so that somebody else does not have to suffer the same thing. So it's really, really super important cause. I will put, the link is not there right now, but I will leave it in the YouTube pages. And if not, just Google or just look for us on Animation Tribute to Rush on Facebook if you haven't already linked up to that. And I'll also send out emails. It'll be sent out. We'll do the whole thing within the next day or two. I'll give you more information on where to go and where to see it. All right. So that'll be next Sunday, 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 4 o'clock Pacific, and wherever you are in the world, kind of do the math or do your world clock. And it will tell you what time in your time zone we will have that show. Okay. So if anybody's got any questions, I'm looking around here, don't see any. So I do appreciate you all stopping by. And thanks a lot. So I'm going to get rolling here. I'll see you at the show next week. And if not, I will be back for another lesson here on my channels in 2 weeks. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. I do appreciate you sticking around. And if you are watching later, thanks for stopping on by too. Just leave a comment. Let me know. Say hello. And we'll catch you on the next one. All right. So thanks a lot and rock on.